Hello, I'm David Chaston with 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz. This week, get everything you need to know in 90 seconds at 9 o'clock, with news equity markets are under the pump this morning. Overnight, Chancellor Merkel gave a gloomy view on the chances of any Brexit deal with the UK. And an expanded US blacklist announced in the middle of the US-China trade talks undermines their commitment to finding a way through that impasse. The Chinese are about to retaliate. And US data for PPI came in significantly weaker than expected. Normally, US PPI data isn't important news, but this time it seems to be reinforcing the view that the US Fed will feel a push from it to get their policy rate at the end of October meeting cut. The S&P 500 is down 0.9% so far today, on top of yesterday's decline. That builds to a 2% loss so far in October. European markets fell a bit more than 1% overnight. In New York, the UN seems to be about to default on paying its staff and creditors. It is owed $1.5 billion from some large members, including Argentina and the United States. The US owes about $1.3 billion of that and has been holding back in a plan to get its contributions cut from 25% to 22% of their funding. The US economy represents about 25% of world economic activity. In Canada, housing starts were up 14% in September compared with the same month a year ago, even if the pace slowed somewhat from August. Building permits rose a very strong 20% on the same basis. In China, the final Caixin Services Sector PMI survey for September was weaker than the initial flash result. In fact, they indicate that their services sector is now barely expanding and isn't getting the improvement that their factory sector recently showed. And for the record, Shanghai closed yesterday after its first day back from a week-long holiday, up 0.3%. Hong Kong was similar. Tokyo, however, was up 1%. A closely watched Aussie measure of business confidence slipped lower in September. The NAB survey showed business conditions remained below par, more evidence that the RBA's rate cuts are not lifting corporate investment intentions. And the US Treasury 10-year yield is unchanged at 1.55%. Gold is little changed at $1,499 an ounce. And US oil prices are slightly softer today, at now just under $52.50 a barrel. The Brent benchmark is just over $58 a barrel. And the Kiwi dollar is marginally higher this morning, now at 63 US cents. On the cross rates, we're firm at 93.6 Australian cents, and against the euro, we're at 57.5 euro cents. That puts the trade-weighted index on just on 68.6. I'm David Chaston. That was 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz.